The All Progressive Congress, that is APC, has held its 2025 National Summit in a grand style at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa in Abuja, where President Tinubu was endorsed by the party members as sole candidate for 2027 presidential election. Our correspondent, Godwin Sunday, has details. We'll bring you that detail in our subsequent bulletin. Osun East senatorial leaders of the People's Democratic Party have thrown their weight behind President Bola Tinubu and Governor Ademola Adeleke as their preferred presidential and governorship candidates. This was contained in a statement released by the senatorial leader, Akindele Famuyide, at the end of its monthly meeting. Delegates to the 13th National Delegate Conference of the Forum of State Independent Electoral Commission of Nigeria in Jos, Plateau State, have rejected calls for the scrapping of the state independent electoral commissions. The European Union says the mandate for the reform of the state electoral bodies saddled with the responsibility of conducting local government elections. The conference is geared towards analyzing the challenges facing state independent electoral commissions and proposing workable solutions to strengthen local election administration. The Senate and Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum have urged President Bola Tinubu to take urgent measures against the renewed terrorist attack in the northeast. Zulum advised the president to rely more on the professional judgment of the military rather than political voices in the fight against Boko Haram insurgents. The Senate, on its part, called for concerted action against the terrorists and also recommended the establishment of a military base in the Hong local government area of Adamawa State. The federal government has instituted a suit against Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan, the suspended senator representing Kogi Central, over alleged defamatory remarks made on live television. The suit filed by a Federal Capital Territory High Court has Akpoti-Oduaghan as the sole defendant. The government accused the senator of making imputations knowing or having reasons to believe that such imputation will harm the reputation of a person, citing Section 391 of the Penal Code, Cap 89, Laws of the Federation, 1990. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has warned that the security and health challenges facing the nation's capital require urgent national intervention. Wike, while speaking during the budget defense before the Senate, emphasized that the FCT's role as seat of government and host to diplomatic missions demands coordinated security approach. Global Television correspondent has the details. In response to Ndume's proposal of establishing an internally displaced persons IDP camp within the FCT, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, warned against social welfare programs for vulnerable groups, as this will facilitate insurgent groups. He gave the warning in the context of the FCT's 2025 budget defense, where Wike sought approval for a 1.78 trillion naira budget focused on capital projects and infrastructure.
It's about the indigent or the displaced persons roaming in Abuja. It is not enough as Nigerians driving them, arresting them. What you need to do is to do what the Kano State government did as far back as in the 70s. That is picking the indigents, if you know, and you have a camp where you can feed and train them so that they will be off the street. If you have something like that already, that's fine. But it's very important because before somebody comes to the street to beg, it means he has nothing to eat. So if we can have a camp that will provide them such facilities, train them, and then take them off the streets through that transitional method is better.
The way Kano, the way Rivers, the way Sokoto, the way Ondo will not be the same way that will happen in the FCT. Those you are talking about, they are not indigenous. They are not indigenous. People come from everywhere to just talk about the whole of FCT. And you are saying that because we should that people, if they have work, it's not correct. There are those who believe that they will continue to beg. That is the truth of the matter. And we'll tell ourselves a simple truth. As a city like this, with the federal capital territory, where you have all the international bodies where they reside, it will be difficult for you to follow that kind of pattern. And we don't want for us to say, let's keep them social areas and then train them for this job and that. The FCT cannot handle that.
Wike's caution reflects broader security challenges in the region as Boko Haram insurgents attacks have been increasing in Nigeria, particularly in the northeast. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News. The Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, has called on administrators of public universities in Nigeria to explore ways of expanding their global reach and attracting international students. He made the suggestion while delivering a keynote address at the maiden edition of the Osun State University annual lecture in Osogbo titled Interrogating Funding of Education, Global versus Nigerian Perspective. Queen Agaba has details. We apologize for our inability to bring you that report. We'll bring it in our subsequent bulletin. The National Emergency Management Agency, that is NEMA, has launched the 2025 National Preparedness and Response Campaign to mitigate the impact of flooding on communities in Bauchi State. Stating this, and while speaking during the launching of the campaign, the Deputy Director of General Service, NEMA, Bitrus Samuel, said Bauchi is one of the states with the highest risk of flooding, hence the sensitization by the agency. Samuel stated that the campaign by agency is a strategic plan for preparedness and response to flooding in Nigeria in response to an early information warning by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, says the Nigerian Army under his leadership would in the next coming weeks induct more combat enablers into its operation in order to end menace of Boko Haram, ISWAP, banditry, kidnappings and other forms of criminalities bedeviling the nation. Oluyede disclosed this at the end of the three-day 2025 COAS First Biannual Conference, which took place at the Command Guest House, Memalari, Cantonment, Maiduguri in Borno State. The event was attended by top Army brass, including Major General, Brigadier General, commanding officers, and heads of various army formations across the country. In response to the looming food security crisis in Nigeria and Benue State, the Tiv Area Traditional Council has issued an ultimatum to herders operating in Tiv land to vacate all Tiv territories and territories by the end of May 2025. The directive was announced following an emergency meeting held at the Tortiv Palace in Boko, Benue State. The meeting was chaired by the Tortiv His Royal Majesty Achieve Professor James Atase Yose Ayase and attended by all graded traditional rulers of the Tiv Kingdom. The council cited the persistent attack and killings of farmers by headers and primary cause of hatred agricultural activities across several local government areas, including Kwande, Katsinala, Logo, Ukum, Guma, Makurdi, Gwe West, Gwe East, and Buruku. You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, Democratic Republic of Congo stripped ex-leader Kabila of immunity over treason charges. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. Now to the world of business. Following the suspension of the Rivers State House of Assembly, President Bola Tinubu has officially submitted the 2025 appropriation bill of the state to the National Assembly for consideration. In a letter addressed to the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the proposed budget totals 1.481 trillion naira, with major allocations aimed at revitalizing key sectors. Uyi Agbamofuegbe reports.
324 billion naira, while the health sector is allocated 106 billion naira, including 5 billion naira earmarked for free malaria drugs.
The appropriation bill for the year 2025 is in the total sum of 1,481 billion, wherein the sum of 324 billion is for infrastructure, both ongoing and new projects, while the sum of 166 billion is for the health sector, including 5 billion for free drugs for treatment of malaria and other common ailments.
Education sector is set to receive 75.6 billion naira, while 31.4 billion naira is proposed for agricultural development. In a formal communication to the National Assembly, President Tinubu is asking the Senate for an expeditious consideration.
Herewith, the 2025 appropriation bill for Rivers State for consideration of the Senate. The distinguished Senate may wish to recall that Rivers State is currently under emergency rule, which was proclaimed and duly gazetted in March 2025. Regulation 4, subsection 2F of the Emergency Rule 2025 requires authorization for expenditure from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of Rivers State for its activities. In the absence of the State Assembly, it's expected that the National Assembly acts on that behalf. Hence, the request for the approval of the Senate for the Rivers State Government 2025 Appropriation Bill.
The Senate has referred the bill to its ad hoc committee on emergency rule with instructions to review the proposal and report back to the chamber as soon as possible. Uyi Agbamofuegbe reporting for Global Television News.
Nigeria is on the verge of paying another $100 million to the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development to aid its developmental projects across the sub-region. The bank's president, Dr. George Dunko, disclosed this during an interactive session with heads of economic ECOWAS institutions and specialized agencies at the ongoing First Ordinary Section of ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja. The interactive section was to enable the bank to present its progress report and vision for regional integration, economic transformation, and sustainable development. And on the foreign scene, Democratic Republic of Congo's Senate has stripped former President Joseph Kabila of his immunity, paving the way for his prosecution over his alleged backing of rebels in the East. Authorities have accused him of treason and war crimes, saying there was a substantial body of documents, testimony and material files linking Kabila to the M23 armed group, which has taken control of several towns in the mineral-rich East. Kabila 53 has not commented on the accusation, but has in the past denied any connection with the insurgents. The United States will impose new sanctions on Sudan as finding its chemical weapon last year in the ongoing civil war against the Rapid Support Force. The State Department has said. A statement from spokesperson Tammy Bruce says U.S. exports to the country will be restricted and financial borrowing limits but in place from 6 June. A Sudanese government spokesperson described the accusation as baseless claims with no supporting evidence. 52 African countries have endorsed the request by Nigeria to host the African Parliament in Abuja in 2026. This followed a request for the hosting right by Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, Nigeria's representative at the executive meeting of the African Parliament in Casablanca, Morocco.
Nigeria is interested in hosting this in the 85 session. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is also committed to this all-important Morocco gas project. I'm giving that, but as Speaker, I'm going to say gladly that we're very glad to have the Senate President of the
African Parliament is legislative body of the African Union, which exercises oversight and has advisory consultative power. The Trump administration has revoked Harvard University and one of America's most prestigious academic institutions of its authority to enroll international students, following a long-standing dispute over campus policies. The United States Department of Homeland Security, led by Secretary Kristi Noem, announced the termination of 2 grants to Harvard University totaling over $2.7 million. The grants were part of federal funding initiative aimed at various research and public health programs. And in sport, Team Bayelsa is still maintaining its lead on the medal table at the ongoing sport festival in Ogun State. Bayelsa garnered 30 gold, 12 silver and 12 bronze medals 5 days into the festival to maintain a comfortable lead. The official medal table of the sporting event, tagged Gateway Games 2024, indicated that Delta is second with 21 gold, 9 silver and 26 bronze medals. To end News Express on Global TV, here is a quick look at some of our top stories. The All Progressive Congress APC has held her 2025 National Summit, with President Tinubu endorsed by the party members as sole candidate for 2027 presidential election. And in business, Nigeria is on the verge of paying another $100 million to ECOWAS banks for investment and development to aid its development projects across the sub-region. And on the foreign scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo's Senate has stripped former President Joseph Kabila of his immunity, paving the way for his prosecution over his alleged backing of rebels in the East. And finally, in sport, we told you that Team Bayelsa is still maintaining its lead on the medal table at the ongoing National Sport Festival in Ogun State, hauling in 30 gold, 12 silver and 13 bronze medals for 5 days into the festival to maintain a comfortable lead. And that's it on Global TV News Express. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. You can download Global TV Nigerian app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thank you for watching.